Hey Antioch. This, believe it or not, is the third take for this video, which kind of just ties into the aspect of my musings and my thoughts of the day, and the aspect of we have no control over what we want to do or what we plan on doing. Um, and I don't have a set verse to share tonight. Um, I encourage our body of believers to check out our Facebook page and look at our monthly readings for the day for this week. If you guys remember back in January, we challenged everyone to read through the Bible in a year. And we gave you a reading plan to go through that, so go make sure you check those out and keep reading through those. There's a lot of passages still to go. We're not even halfway through the year yet, but I believe we've got it laid out in a way that will keep you interested and keep you going. If you made it this far, you've made it through most of the tough stuff, and you'll be able to keep on going and get through and find some great and amazing encounters of where God is at work and God is in control. But as I was talking about earlier, this is the third take on this video. It just goes to show how the day's gone. Every time I've got up this morning, I've had plans for the day. This is what I'm going to do. This is what I'm going to accomplish. And every time something has happened, some wrench has been thrown into it, and my plans have completely failed, which has driven me a little bit crazy. For those who do not know, I am a control freak. I like knowing what's going to happen. I like being in control of my environment, being in control of what I'm going to take place and what I'm going to do. I have everything laid out and a plan. I'm not a big fan of when things get interrupted, but it happens, and I've learned to deal with that. Still learning to deal with that. And if nothing else, I think God is using this COVID-19 to teach us all not to worry about being in control. And I think that's our biggest struggle and why we're so worried and anxious and afraid at this time is that we do not have control. We're not in control of what's going to take place every minute. We're not in control if the activities we have planned are going to be able to happen because things are getting shut down left and right because of this virus. We're not in control if the sports our kids are going to play are going to be able to play out because they're just simply being canceled. We're not in control if our kids are going to get to graduate in front of the crowds and be able to have that proud moment with them walking across the stage. We're not in control of getting to see our kids go to their proms or having those milestones like we were able to have. It's just not something that we can have control of, and we're just going to have to deal with that part. I've heard some people complain, well, if God is really the God that cares and the God that looks out, then why is he allowing this to happen? And I think sometimes it's not that. I think sometimes it's not the point that he's allowing it to happen because he's just wanting to put it out on us. I think it's sometimes things have to happen because we're at fault. Have we ever stopped to look at ourselves? Have we ever stopped to look and see how much we've taken over and pushed him behind? And I hope that through this virus, one of the biggest things we learn is that no matter what, he's still in control. Um, and I want that to be our key focus on tonight's little video is that God is in control. And even though that in itself can be a scary thought, because if we look through the Bible, we see time and time again that this God that we serve, this God that we love, is a God that from the very beginning had strange and weird ways of doing things. Um, he had weird ways of getting his people to see and understand. Um, but not only that, he has some strange demands throughout the Bibles, but it was at the same time the call is simply just do what I say, do what I command, and you'll be okay. Last week we touched into John chapter 15 where it simply says, if you do what I command, then you are my friends. And no greater love is in this than a man will lay down his life for his friends. And of course, with Resurrection Sunday coming up on this Sunday, and it's the time that we celebrate the resurrection of Christ from the grave, that means that this Friday is crucifixion. Good Friday, which I never understood why we would call it a Good Friday. That's the day that everything went chaotic. That's the day that everything went dark. That's the day that everything that could have happened happened. And yet, we have enough nerve to say it's a Good Friday. Um, and I understand that it's a Good Friday on the point that because of that Friday, because Jesus died on the cross and his blood was shed, that we have that forgiveness. But couldn't we use a different title besides good? Just a side thought, completely beyond anything that we're talking about. But at the same time, going back to the aspect of the control, and I really think that that's the one thing we've got to focus in on. The one thing we've got to work on is, do we really need to have control, or do we need to trust more in God the Creator? Trust more in the God that led the Egyptian, well, not the Egyptian, God, the God who led the Israelites out of the Egyptian captivity. And even though they went the long way through, he still guided them out. He parted the Red Sea so they could cross over on dry land and show his power. He provided them manna in the fields. He allowed them to march around the city of Jericho and let the walls fall. He allowed them to continue to take over any land that they stepped foot into. We should be able to trust that God today even more because history has shown that he is trustworthy. We should be able to trust him in all things, in all times, in all manners. And I think that's the thing we've got to look to, and the thing we've got to work on. And that's the prayer tonight. That as we get ready to go to sleep, or maybe you're just waking up, that we can start to trust a little bit more. Let go of our control and allow God to use us as we go with whatever plan he has in each of our lives. And as we walk around, we know that part of that plan is that we will be the hands and feet of his Son, actively involved in the world today, showing his love and his grace and his mercy to anyone and everyone we can. And that's going to look different right now with social distancing and trying to make sure that we quarantine and keep each other safe. But at the same time, there are ways to show that love and to show that encouragement. And I still encourage our people at Antioch to go in and do those random acts of kindness and still leave that little hashtag of Antioch Loves. We had a great showing of it on Sunday. It was not out towards the community, but it was wonderful to see a family at our church in the parking lot with their kids singing and little signs saying that they loved and missed their church family. And I think there's more of it happening, and I think it will continue to happen. And I think that's something that we all need to see and we all need to be a part of. So I encourage you all to still be out there, not worrying about who's in charge, because God's always been in charge. Don't have fear about the unknown, because God is in the unknown. And keep persevering through it all, because your faith will refine you through these times, and when it's all over, you'll be stronger and better, and God will look at you one day and say, you were able to do it because I knew you could. Hope you guys are having a great week.